Welcome to the Healthy Handbag with Patty Cunningham.
And you're very welcome along to another episode. This is the Healthy Handbag with myself, Patty Cunningham. Your short snippet of motivation, inspiration, occasional real talk, and just hopefully some feel-good vibes to help you on your way. And speaking of real talk, today is one of those episodes whereby we're going to be talking a little bit more about some home truths and the idea of, are you lazy? Is that why you are not making progress towards your goals? Are we just making excuses? Are we blaming things like, time or money or whatever other things that we can find as an excuse, when perhaps for some of us, the real reason why we might not be making progress towards our goals is simply because we're being lazy and we haven't actually given ourselves the time to come to that realization. And I guess as you're listening over the next few minutes, that's something that I'd ask you to keep in the back of your mind. Is that a kind of real talk and self-care talk also, okay, let's be honest with myself. Am I not making progress towards my goal? Because maybe, is there more that I could be doing right now? And I don't mean that you need to be flat out doing everything that you can do and should be doing within your power, but are you doing things? Is there a little bit more that you could be doing, I guess? Is there more that you could be doing? So let's break that down a bit. When we are children, I'd say all of us at some stage is told, you're lazy. Stop being so lazy. You're lazy so-and-so. And that whole idea of being lazy, I think, conjures up very negative connotations for us and very negative ideas from our childhood or maybe even school or even work or stuff like that when somebody makes reference to such and such being lazy. And sometimes being lazy, or what we call being lazy, can simply be people mightn't have had that realization that there is a little bit more that I can do, or maybe they haven't allowed themselves the time and energy because other things in their lives are taking priority at the moment. So I don't for a minute want you to think that thinking of being lazy is necessarily a negative thing. It's just the reality where some of us are right now, and some of us have not had that chat with ourselves about, what, if I'm being totally honest with myself, there probably is a little bit more that I could be doing. And yeah, I'm taking the easy route out. And we will find excuses. We will say, it's too expensive to eat healthy. Whereas we know every week when we look at Tesco or Aldi or Lidl or most of the supermarkets, they will have 6 or 7 different options that are reduced to less than €1 or £1, and meat options that are reduced on weekly offers and that. So money is never, ever, ever something that I accept as a reason for not progressing towards your goal in terms of eating healthier. Eating healthier does not suddenly mean having to go and spend hundreds on, rabbit food and the prime cuts of meat for the week ahead. It simply means making slightly better choices than maybe we have before. And money does not have to be a limiting factor in that. Okay. Sometimes some of the excuses can be, I don't have time. Again, to make progress does not mean that you have to go and spend an hour in the gym or even half an hour. It doesn't mean that you have to go, walking out around the block 50 times. If you can, brilliant, but it doesn't have to be that, or sometimes it can be things like, the year is so busy this year, all the stuff that's been happening. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff has happened this year. And God knows over the next few months, there's probably going to be a lot more that'll happen too. And we don't know what way things are going to be. But we all still have the same amount of time in the day. It might look a bit more complicated for us. But does that mean, for example, that we stop completely with the efforts that we might have had before, the goals that we might have had before? And what I mean is, say, for example, if you were somebody that, was able to go to the gym maybe 3 times a week and you were going for an hour each time or something like that. And now you find yourself maybe that you are either working from home or you're out of work and you're at home, and maybe you've got kids with you, or you're looking after friends or family, all which are super important things and absolutely need to be a priority But does that mean that if we have some real talk with ourselves that, you know what, is there really no time in the day whereby you could carve out even 5 or 10 minutes or something that would help you feel like you were still making progress towards what it is you want to progress against? So, for example, one of the things I'm thinking about today is my cardio fitness is shocking. Absolutely shocking at the moment, because predominantly I'm sitting on a couch, I'm sitting on a chair working, and I'm not moving a huge amount. When I was getting out to the sea, again, that wasn't swimming laps or lengths or anything like that. The sea for me is kind of, getting in, having a splash about. If you follow me on social media, you'll kind of know the importance of kind of getting into the sea for me now in terms of mental health. It's something that has been hugely important to me, and hopefully something I'll talk about in another episode. But when I was thinking today about my cardio, and that means am I out of breath when I go up the stairs? That kind of thing. And if so, what can I do about it? Now, some people might think, but I don't have the time to go and run a 5K or to go and walk on a treadmill or do this. It doesn't have to be that. If you're in the same situation, you're kind of feeling, oh God, the stairs are a bit harder than they were before. Could you do something like, right, well, do you know what? To start off with, I'm going to try and maybe go up and down the stairs maybe 10 times each day for the next week. And then the next week, I'll go up and down them 15 times. It can be something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be something that is massive, like a massive effort that helps us to feel like we're progressing with something. So with the real talk, I guess, if I think about this whole idea of being lazy, where this kind of came from me was a number of years ago, I went through counselling for binge eating, and I have a YouTube video on it. If you want to go on to youtube.com/PT Paddy, you'll find one of my videos there all about binge eating and my experience of going through counselling for that. But up until I started doing counselling, I'd always kind of been blaming my binge eating for reasons why I was regaining weight and for why I wasn't losing weight. And it had to be that. But when I went through my therapy sessions, and I guess my binge eating was not happening anymore, thank God, it's still not 5-6 years later, I was noticing that the scales still weren't moving in the right direction. And this is where I kind of sat down with myself and thought, why is this? Why, I'm going to the gym as I was at the time. I'm not binge eating, but why is it that I'm, not seeing the scales move? And I came to the realization that I was being lazy. And that was the simple answer. I was being lazy. I was going to the gym, but by no means was I pushing myself in the gym. At home with my nutrition, I might put a bit of effort into 1 or 2 meals, but there was probably more I could be doing, or I'd still be kind of, going getting takeaways and all this kind of stuff. And that's not to say you can't have takeaways. You can, obviously, you can have anything in balance. But I wasn't being honest with myself about the efforts that I was putting in and the efforts that I needed to be putting in to meet the expectations that I had in my mind about my progress. And I think that's another thing as well in relation to real talk is, what is a realistic expectation for what is achievable, perhaps whilst we're in lockdown? Is it realistic for you to go out and do exercise? If so, awesome. If it's not, is it realistic, as I say, to perhaps go up and down the stairs a few times, or even just, do a little bit of jogging on the spot for a minute, on and off for maybe 10 minutes or something like that? Because again, that is more than doing nothing. And it's that idea that I want to start thinking about, is that if after sitting down and you sit and you think, you know what, if I'm being honest with myself, I probably am being a bit lazy right now. There is more that I probably could be doing. Do something that is a little bit more. Don't go hell for leather, suddenly out, as say, trying to run a marathon or stuff like that. But just think, is there a little bit more than I could be doing? And that is your starting point. And then every few weeks we sit down and we kind of think again, okay, this is what I've been doing for the past few weeks. Is there a little bit more now that I can do? Now that, say, my fitness has improved a little bit more, what more can I be doing now? Can I add on another few minutes? Or could I mix up the exercise so that it's the same amount of time, but maybe it's a little bit more complex for me to do, or a little bit more difficult for me to do, so that you're still progressing? As opposed to just going, oh, well, 2020 is gone, so there's no point. I'll wait till January. You do not have to wait until January to make changes. if this year has taught us anything, I think it's more, it's, the whole idea of 12-month calendar has kind of gone out the window because we've had different cycles to get used to throughout this year in terms of lockdown, in terms of, different time frames of when things have been happening and stuff like that. So no, you do not have to wait until January to make changes. After listening to this podcast, you could say, right, you know what? I'm being honest with myself. Yes, I have been a bit lazy. So I'm simply just going to get up now and I'm going to do 10 squats. It's 10 more than I have done for the last 5 months. And you can feel good about that. Don't make it feel like something that is not worthwhile or isn't something positive. It is. Anything is better than nothing. Anything is better than nothing. By deciding to say until I'll wait till January, sure, that's when everyone else starts. That's the lazy option. That is the easy option. The real talk, the honest option is, do you know what? There's something I can do right now. And I'm going to go into the room and I'm going to do something for 1 minute. And tomorrow I'll do it again. But I'll do it in the morning and I'll do it in the evening. And then the next day I'll do it maybe for 2 minutes in the morning and the evening. And that can be you either getting back on track or starting or just making a change. Okay? Don't take the easy option out. There is always something we can do, no matter what our circumstances, whether that be, okay, for breakfast, maybe I normally have tea and toast. Grand. But you know what? Tomorrow I might add in maybe a banana so that at least you're starting to get more supportive food into your system with like your nutrients and your vitamins and that. Or maybe, for dinner I normally have takeaway. If takeaway is the best that you can do right now, only you can be the person that decides that. Is there still something you can do to make that better? I.e., is it maybe I'm going to have a Diet Cola instead of a full fat cola? Or is it maybe, I'll get a side of veg instead of just rice and chips? Or something like that. Is there some small change that you can consciously make as opposed to just passively going with the flow the way we might have been for the past while? So that is the thought for this week. Are we being lazy? If we were to sit down and be honest with ourselves, and I'll tell you now, hand up 100%, yes, I absolutely am currently being lazy, and there's a lot more that I could be doing that I'm not doing. I do have great intentions, and then I just choose the easy route. I choose not to do it. And that sounds mad, but that's me being honest. And the reason that I choose it is because I don't want to choose it, but it is that little voice in the back of my head that's like, oh, Paddy, it's just easier. Don't bother doing it. Sit and watch another episode of something on Netflix. And that's where we have, do you know what? I'm going to do something. I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to do a minute every morning, whatever the case might be. And that's my goal for the next week or two. There's 3 weeks of lockdown left in Ireland at the time that I record this podcast. We're currently at our highest level 5 lockdown, and we're about midway through it. So today what I've done, I've taken out a yoga mat that has been gathering dust. I've put it here in my little home office area that I've set up. And the plan is that I'm going to do something, even if it is just for a minute, each morning and evening. That is more than what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks or months. And that is that is me shifting away from the laziness, from the easy option, from the doing nothing. Because always remember, doing something is always better than doing nothing at all. Okay? Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts, your ideas. What kind of things have you started to get up to? Maybe when you've sat down and had to think about things, what's feasible for you to do. And, as I say, it doesn't have to be a whole half-hour workout. If you do want to do things like that, though, there's such great resources on YouTube and free stuff and workouts and that, as I said in the last episode. Or it could be something as simple as, do you know what? I just need space for my mind at the moment, so I'm going to use one of the mindfulness apps or something like that. Even that is better than just doing nothing and going through life and getting caught up with all the noise of what's going on at the moment. So choose something. Something is better than nothing. But no matter what, never feel bad for not doing anything. And never compare yourself to other people, okay? Because again, your life, your reality is different to theirs. And what is feasible for you is probably very different to a lot of other people because we don't know their circumstances. So when I say that don't feel bad for doing nothing, if you sit down and you're like, you know what, I'm not being lazy, but the reality is I do not have 1 minute free in the day. I do not have the option to get to the supermarket to get this, or I do not have, the ability to do X or Y. That's okay once you've been honest with yourself and you've had that real talk with yourself. But I think for a lot of us at the moment, there probably is somewhere where we can find a minute or two in the day. And if you're thinking a minute or two won't do much, you try doing star jumps for a minute. And I'm telling you, you won't be long feeling it. Or you try doing a plank for a minute. And again, you won't be long feeling it. So things don't have to be extremely long or extremely intense. It just has to be a start and a little bit more than what you might be doing at the moment. Something is better than nothing. Anyway, throughout all that, always remember, as I say time and time again, your size, your shape, your fitness level, the clothes you wear, none of that takes away from the person that you are. Because at the end of the day, you are awesome. Take care. Chat soon.